All-American Book Club. I tell you what, this summer we have some phenomenal guests coming to you here in our nation's capital. We are live streaming on the app at WMAL.com, and we have a fun summer read. Well, let me just tell you, it's a fun summer series read. And you guys, this author is on my author recommended list for the summer reads. We have the Elizabeth Goddard of all Elizabeth Goddard authors. She is phenomenal. She is a USA Today best-selling and award-winning author of more than 60 novels, including the ones we're going to talk to today, Cold Light of Day and Shadows at Dusk. And the third installment, Hidden in the Night, which I have to tell you, I could not put down. So, and even on holiday, I couldn't put it down. My husband's like, what's with the book in the face? Put the book down. I need your face. I need to see you. So anyway, that's how good these books are. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the All-American Book Club, Elizabeth Goddard. I'm so glad to have you here.
And I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm serious. I took one of your books on our holiday, and my husband's like, he's like, you always have a book in your hands, but we're on vacation. I'm like, that's the perfect time to read the book. So I'm so thankful to have you a part of this summer series. We're in the month of the summer months. We're All America, apple pie and hot dogs and all the important stuff that happens, during the summer months. But I want you to share with us this series and the most recent book that just came out. Just kind of talk to us about why that Alaskan part. Talk to us about what inspired you to write this series. Just kind of give us the whole big picture and the teasers for those who haven't picked up your books yet.
Oh, this will be fun. I, like so many people, I'm fascinated with Alaska, but I am very inspired by setting. Setting is always inspiring me in my books. And kind of to go back probably, oh gosh, more than 10 years ago, I was in the middle of trying to come up with a proposal for Texas, because I'm from Texas, and I was in Louisiana, and it was so hot. It was just so hot. And I thought, I can't do this. I need to put my brain somewhere cold. And so I decided to come up with a series set in Alaska. Now, this is a previous series that I did for Levis Parsons Smith. So fast forward, and I am listening to a podcast, researching on another book, and the name of the podcast is Missing in Alaska. And I'm like, I got chills. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go back to Alaska. And I'm writing for Revell at the time. And so I asked my editor, I tell her the story that I just feel like, I want to go back there. And she was all for that. And so the series title is Missing in Alaska. And so I have a lot of different things going on, missing people who want to be missing. And for this third book, Hidden in the Night, I wanted there to be a missing thing. And so I got with my brainstorming people. I'm like, what can they be looking for? And somebody threw out the lost Jack London manuscript, and
yes,
was all over that, because I loved Call of the Wild when we read Jack London, had to read him for school, right? Growing up, and write book reports. And I just fell in love with the adventure. And I remember I had to we had to do a special project for our class. And I painted an oil painting of Buck, the dog, the main character, for my English teacher. So, I never forgot it. So when they said lost Jack London manuscript, I was so excited. I'm like, yes, that's it. And so I dove into a lot of research all about Jack London and trying to figure out how I could incorporate some fictional manuscript that I created into the story. And so it just grew from there. It was very exciting.
So the most recent book that has come out, the one I couldn't put down, and full disclosure to my audience, I have Cold Light of Day and I have Shadows at Dusk, the other 2 out of the 3, and then we have Hidden in the Night.
Right.
So talk to me about Hidden in the Night. So is that the third installment? Will that be it for this series? Okay.
Yes, and that's the one with the Jack London manuscript. Yes, that's the third one that I was talking about. So
okay.
Go ahead.
No, well, I fell in love with the characters. I'm just like, oh, I want more. That was why I wanted to find out if there's going to be another one after this one. It's just the way you write, Elizabeth, and for the audience, if you have not picked up her books, I highly recommend these books because you do fall in love with the characters. You feel drawn to these characters. And that's what I really liked about your writing and how you just brought it to life for me. Talk to me about how you did the character development.
Well, it's really all packaged of the whole story process for me. And I'm not someone who can do a hard plot of an
Yeah.
outline ahead of time. And I have to live through the eyes of my character. I have to live vicariously through them as I write the story. So I think that really lends itself to helping me come
Mhm.
up with all of the emotions and how would they feel and what's going to be real and what's not going to be, all the reactions. So I kind of become my character, as I'm writing the story. I don't know, maybe that's how it works for me.
Yeah.
I want them to be real. And so many authors talk about hearing their characters arguing with them about what's going to happen next. And so it's kind of like that for me. They become real to me. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that translates onto the page for my
No,
readers.
it
Thank you
does.
for saying that.
It really does. Well, let's talk about, some of the other things that have inspired you, but I want to hear a little bit about your background. What brought you to being a fiction writer? What brought you to doing suspense and romance and mystery? How did that unfold for you? Because everybody has such a unique, different story. And I want to hear how this unfolded for you.
Well, it is to me an interesting story. I mean, I've always thought of myself as a writer. There's just that thing inside of me, and I think other people identify that as well. But in my early college days, I did get my degree in computer science, believe it or not, because you got to pay the bills, and I couldn't see how being a writer was going to do that. So it wasn't until I was staying home with my first child, and I thought, you know what, now is the time, and this was before the internet. I'm giving away my age here. It's before the internet. And so I ordered I think was it Writer's Digest? I'm trying to think, where they have the correspondence course. And I did the correspondence courses. And I remember sitting there with my child. My daughter was 5 years old. And I thought, gosh, what if I spend 5 years trying to write a novel and it doesn't get published? I will have wasted 5 years of her life, because it takes so
Yeah.
much time.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I did waste those 5 years because I didn't write. I should have been doing that, but I just, you can't imagine if something's going to get published or not. So fast forward, and I entered or I joined American Christian Romance Writers at the time. Now it's
Oh,
American Christian Fiction Writers, and got into a critique group. And that was in 2001. And so then I started submitting a chapter a week. And that was my first time to even attempt to write a novel because I wasn't sure what to write. Do I want to write articles? What do I want to write? And eventually I started working on writing historical romance novels or historical romantic suspense. But here's a funny story that just it didn't resonate with anyone. Maybe I don't have the right voice or whatever, but I feel like the doors opened up for me, when I started submitting to publishers. I submitted to Barber's Heart Song Present a contemporary romance. And I remember the editor at the time, Tracy Peterson, called and she said, do you have this? And I'm like, no, I don't, but I can write it. And then I was like, oh, I gotta write this. I don't want to write this, because I was really thinking historical, right? And so I wrote it, and that's my first book got published. And that book was Seasons of Love. Don't read it because it's like so old and so not good. But it had a lot of mystery and suspense elements. And so I just figured out that's what I love to write because you know what? That's what I like to read. And in my teen years and my early 20s, I was reading Gothic romance novels, Victoria Holt, Priscilla, what's her name? Phyllis Whitney, and all of those. So, that's kind of in my blood, I guess. And I credit Call of the Wild and Jack London for that sense of
yeah.
adventure, wanting to write not only romantic suspense stories, but stories that have, show God's amazing creation. And,
Yes,
and I want
absolutely.
to put that in all of my books.
Well, the descriptions that you gave of the locations when they were looking for that treasure in the most recent book, and you could just visualize yourself being there. So I really want to encourage the audience to pick up this book series because you are going to go on an adventure in this book series, which is so much fun. I mean, if you decide to do a staycation over the summer, you can pick up this book series and you can have your own adventure without having to worry about spending gas money and traveling and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing I wanted to mention to you, I wanted to bring this point back up. I heard you say historical. I love history. I love history. If I had, another calling in my life, it would probably have been a history teacher. I
Mhm.
love kids. I love educating kids. I love the next generation, and I love all aspects of history. And I'm curious, what part of history were you really zeroing in on that you just loved, that you wanted to tell, that you wanted to talk about? And do you have other books that you would say, that's the perfect book for this kid to read, or that's the perfect history? What made you fall in love with it, and what time period?
Well, I really got hooked on Bodie Taney, I believe that's how you say her name, the World War II novels, and
Uh-huh.
that, her
Yes.
Covenant and Zion Chronicles, and I loved them. And they also had the element of suspense, romantic suspense. So really, when I would go to conferences, I would call myself historical romantic suspense writer before that was even a thing, I guess. But I loved that, but I was really focusing on Texas because there's a lot of very rich history in
Yes.
Texas, and I was really kind of pitching that when I would go to conferences. Isn't it funny to think of that? And even 2 years at the conference, I did pitch fantasy, if you can believe that. But I said this is not working, and the doors really opened for me to. So I think it can take a lot of years for someone to
Yes.
figure out where
Yes.
do I fit, what is
Yes.
my voice, where is my niche.
Mm.
It can take time to figure that out. So yes,
Yes.
I love history, and I'm hoping to in some future series, I'm actually working on an idea where I'm going to incorporate some history
Mhm.
in around the suspense and the mystery part, the history of the region. And I think that will be really fun, and it will satisfy my need to add,
Yes.
history.
Yes. That
So
that gift that you have. Well, let me ask you this. You kind of answered it, but maybe not fully. What do you have on the horizon? Do you have any more new books coming out for 2024, or are you set on 2025? Do you have a whole new series that you're working on? Any teasers? Just give
yes,
me something.
I'm working on book 2 of my next series, and the first book I believe comes out in February 2025. But the next series is called Hidden Bay, and it is set in another beautiful, amazing location, which is the Washington coast of the Olympic Peninsula, which is a beautiful rocky coast, and people will come. I have a lodge that is a storm watching lodge, and people will come to watch the storms coming in. And so I have my characters that are, they're hiding. They come there to hide for whatever reason from the danger of their past. And then, of course, that all erupts, and I just kind of throw in all kinds of twists and turns that you can't imagine that could ever happen there. But, I just want it to be a beautiful location, but I also love to really raise the stakes of intrigue. So, I have kind of the best of both worlds. I can add in, something of a spy story or thrillers or whatever it is, but it can always happen for me in an amazing location. So the first book is called Storm Warning, and I already have the cover, but it's not ready to be released yet. So I can't, it's just amazing. Revell has the most beautiful covers.
Yes, yes. I applaud Revell on their covers. They are they're neat. I love well, one, I follow you on Instagram and some of the social pages, and just seeing all the different designs that they come out for all of their authors, including yours, they're very attractive to the eye. And I would say also they know their audience so well. They really, really do when it comes to the marketing of the book covers and things of that nature. So let's go psychology with you for a second. Do you resonate with any of your female heroine characters? Is that in the back of your mind what um who you maybe kind of look up to, or carry the same character traits, things of that nature, especially in this series?
Different characters, of course, different things. In book 1, I have a police chief, and I don't resonate with the brave part of going in with guns and fighting bad guys, but I resonate with family is important. So there's always something in my characters. Family is so important, and she has this really strong relationship with her family and her father. In book 2, it is about a bush pilot, and I am scared of flying. I don't like to fly, but I've flown plenty of times. But
Yeah.
I use that in my character and my hero because he's scared of
Yeah.
flying. But for the heroine, it resonate with her need for adventure and to see God's beauty. And she flies so she can see the sunrise or the sunset. So there's always something in my characters that I pull for myself. And
Yeah.
then Ivy Elliott, who is a rare book collector, I collected antique books. I love art. She was working with the FBI art division. So there's always something, some piece of me. Maybe I didn't experience it fully or didn't, look into that, but I wanted to, or I've researched it, or there's something that I've done. There's something part of my heart that is going to be in there. So I hope that works to make the characters more believable and more
Oh,
relatable.
yes. Yes. So we have a minute left, and I know the time goes by so fast when we're having such fun adventures of mystery and just talking about love of literature. So in the final minute that we have left, just talk a little bit about Hidden in the Night, since it is your most recent, and talk a little. I want you to highlight what she is doing. She is an FBI special agent turned rare book collector, Ivy Elliott. Talk a little bit about the outline of the book and just that mystery that so many people are going to pick up and say, okay, I get to sit down and just engulf myself, take all the other distractions away, and I get to take myself to Alaska. Talk a little bit just about that outline that they'll find.
Okay, all right. So Ivy Elliott is a river collector, and she lives in Florida, but she has to go all the way to Alaska in the middle of winter to look for a lost Jack London manuscript. And there's all these reasons that she has to go. There's a threat behind it. And then she meets an old sort of flame, Alaska State Trooper Nolan Long. And so, there's that law enforcement element and Alaska State Trooper. And then they have to go on an adventure, a dangerous adventure that opens up many, many layers of danger that they couldn't imagine, that's on a national security scale. So it was
Absolutely.
very fun to come up with all of the different layers in all surrounding a Jack London manuscript.
So can you share with our audience where we can follow you, be on a book tour with you, hear what you're going to be talking about? I know that you're on Instagram because we follow each other there, and where we all get into trouble over on Instagram. There's so much fun happening over there. But kind of give my audience ways that they can connect with you this summer as they are picking up all of your books and just the adventure that they're going to find.
All right, wonderful. Well, first of all, starters, elizabethgoddard.com. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I send that out with all the information. And then you can follow me on Facebook, Elizabeth Goddard Author, facebook.com, Elizabeth Goddard Author. And there I also have a lot of information about what's going on, what books are coming out, and I have fun things to join. I have a readers group on Facebook as well. And then
Oh, fun. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And then, I offer free books and prizes, and we have a lot of fun. And right now, all of my readers or fans are hopefully helping me to promote Hidden in the Night. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm not on TikTok yet. I was kind of thinking about doing that. So
Well, I am so thankful that you joined us here at the All American Book Club. I am so honored to endorse your books. They are amazing, and they are officially on our summer read list for the All American Book Club. So thank you so much for being a part of this, Elizabeth. And I look forward to finding you and going over and meeting you on Instagram and us having some fun together. You know what? Maybe we should just do an Instagram live together this summer. I think we should
that'd
do
be
that.
great.
Yeah.
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 Just let me know.
So.
I'm up for it.
Well, many blessings to you. Thank you for bringing
Thank
arts
you.
and culture to the nation's capital. We are so grateful for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.